Okay, so we have our engine tore completely apart. We've taken all of our measurements. I have with me today my notes that is going to give me my specs and my torque specs and everything like that. So the next thing that we want to do, there's a couple different ways we can do this. We can take a putty knife or a gasket remover, and we can very gently remove the gasket material. Remove the gasket material that's here and get all of this off of here. We want to be very careful when we do this so that we don't, um, number one, we don't put any gasket inside of the oil pan or inside the crankcase here. And so um, we want to remove all the gasket material so that we get a good flush seal. Okay. Um, so this is one area that we're going to remove the gasket. The other way that we can do this is I have an oil bath over there, a parts wash over in the corner that we can take the um, take the unit over there and we can wash it up over there. We can do that as well. Okay? And so we're going to move as much of this as we can. Again, you don't want to let uh, any of it get inside the oil pan here. And we don't want to do this with the razor blade. These are aluminum blocks. If you do it with the razor blade, you stand the chance of damaging the surface, and that would not be good. Okay? Because we don't want to be cutting any material off the surface here. And we want to do the same thing um, on top here, and I'll do that once I get everything put back together. Well, we'll go ahead and do it now. On top right here. Let's remove as much of this material as possible as well. Okay. Now we're ready for the reassembly. So we're going to take our valves, the springs, and the retainers. We're going to start with them. Okay? Uh, and it might be easier if you take a rag, just kind of after you've put the pistons in there, make sure that you are putting the exhaust with the exhaust and the intake with the intake. Okay. once you get them into the guides, they'll just kind of fall into place. Okay, and then you might want to stuff a rag up in there to kind of hold them in place as you put the rings and the retainers on there. Okay. And the rings go on the same way that we took them off. And let's make sure that we don't let any go of them so they don't go flying across the shop, bopping somebody in the eyeballs. I know we all have our safety glasses on, but still, I just really don't feel like taking somebody to the hospital because they've got turned around here where I can see it. There it goes. There it goes. Okay. So now we've got our valves set in place. Okay. The next thing we're going to set in is going to be our piston. Okay. It is important that as we are looking down at our piston, we make sure that our ring gap, number one, is not set over our piston pin. So I'm going to turn that one this way, and then I'm going to take this other one and turn it over this way. As such. And then I'm going to insert it. Let me turn it around here so you can watch as I'm doing this. Let me move my flywheel out of the way. Okay, so we're making sure that the ring gap is set 120 degrees offset, and again, not over our piston pin. And then I'm just going to slide it in. But first, the first thing I want to do, I almost forgot this, we have some lube assembly here. This is some nice stuff here. You're going to enjoy this. Okay. And we're going to take a little bit, just a little bit, okay, and just very lightly. And we're probably not going to need a whole lot because we haven't really cleaned up these parts, and so they're still pretty oily. And just put some on the rings and on the piston head itself. Okay. We would use more of this if we were tearing everything down. Okay. So we're gonna put everything in here, make sure our rings are catching on these little posts here. And the way I like to do it is you've got 4 little tabs here that'll catch your rings. And so kind of rock it in and collapse your rings and kind of walk them in. Walk them in. And you want to be careful so you don't break any rings. There you go. And then once it gets popped in, you just kind of walk it in, then just push it all the way in. Okay. And this lube assembly is going to get all over us. All right. Okay. Then we're going to take a little bit, and we're going to put a little bit here, a little bit here, and we're going to line this puppy up. So that it slides down in there. Okay. And then we're going to push it up to top dead center. Then we're going to pull our piston down. Then we're going to take okay. Then we're going to take our rod cap, take a little bit, put some lubrication on the bottom of it. We're going to torque it down to our specifications. We're going to make sure that it lines up. Okay. Again, using my speed driver. Now, hopefully you have done the video on how to use a torque wrench. Okay. And here we go. I have this set properly. Please listen carefully. You hear that click? You know that you are torqued down where it needs to be. Listen very carefully. Once it clicks like that, you do not need to go anymore. All right. Once it clicks, you do not need to go anymore. Okay. And then I'm going to set in my thrust washer. This is your thrust washer, and we want it set with dish side up. We also want to make sure that when we set this, we want to make sure that we have our timing mark set up. Thrust washer facing up. Facing up. Okay. Now, I'm going to set this up, and I'm going to find my cam and my camshaft. Okay. I'm going to put a little bit of lube on my camshaft here. Make sure that your timing marks, those timing marks are very essential. Do you see those two little tab marks right here? Focus focus. It's difficult. There they are, right there. I'm without my finger, and the other one right there. 2 marks. Make sure they are set right up on top. As you slide, hang on a second. Before we do that, we need to run our timing belt in. Okay, let's run our timing belt in. Let it sit right there. And now we will set this puppy in. Okay. I know I'm running fast, but you can slow this down and watch it at your leisure. Watch it at your leisure. So we're going to set our marks to where they're even, and we're going to push our shaft in. And then I'm going to take my slip joint pliers, and I'm going to turn it to where it's secure. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and thread my timing belt. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my rocker assemblies. Okay. Same thing with these pins. I'm going to put a little bit of lube on there. Okay. And make sure you're getting the right rocker on the right place. Very good. Okay. Now we have to do some valve adjusting. All right. Okay. But first I need to get it to top dead center. Okay. We'll talk about valve adjustment on the next video. I'll see you in the shop. I'm out.